time for the Straight Up Wrestling Show.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? I see Lucas is in the house. What's going on, Lucas? Lucas said, what's up, boys? Lucas, is just me for right now, HBT. But hey, we're going to rock this thing out, man. I'm going to talk about the Road Warriors, LOD, Legion of Doom. For all those people out there who pretty much insist on calling the Road Warriors Legion of Doom, the Legion of Doom came out of the NWA, started out in Georgia Championship Wrestling, went to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, over to the American Wrestling Association, AWA, the Road Warriors, guys. That's what I know them mostly as, the Road Warriors. Later on in their career, they did go up to the WWE, or we could say the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation, as LOD. But LOD, man, let me get one thing straight about LOD, Legion of Doom. That was a faction. That was a faction, Paul Ellering's faction, Legion of Doom, that included King Kong Bundy, Jake the Snake Roberts, and the spoiler included in that was the Road Warriors, guys. So they wasn't just the Legion of Doom by themselves. It was Paul Ellering's faction called the Legion of Doom. It's just that name stuck with them after Paul Ellering became just their manager, and their manager solo by themselves, because King Kong Bundy ended up into the WWE. You ended up having Jake the Snake Roberts in the WWE. So Paul Ellering was left with the Legion of Doom, and they just called him the Legion of Doom. That was his faction, that was his staff, that was his crew, the Legion of Doom. So that's where that name come from, guys, as a collective. But anytime it seems like I mentioned the Road Warriors or talk about the Road Warriors, it seems that many people out here don't know exactly what the Road Warriors are. Of course, they did use that in the World Wrestling Federation too, or World Wrestling Entertainment, whatever you want to call it. They did use that name, the Road Warriors, but a lot of people out here insist on calling them the Legion of Doom. No, it was the Road Warriors, straight up, man. And that's before Demolition and a lot of other people. So, man, one thing I will say about the Road Warriors. Okay, let me go ahead and tell you what I think about the Road Warriors. Love the Road Warriors, straight up. Great tag team. I will never forget when they came into wrestling. I saw them on a debut and could not believe what I was seeing, guys. I thought it was, wow, I didn't think it was fair. These guys were street guys, big biker dudes. And I'm like, they're going to beat up everybody. Nobody's going to be able to stop these guys. And they would just run in the ring and they just take care of business. And it did not take long before they dispatched of any opponents that came in their way, guys. But, man, there was tag teams over the years. I remember the first couple years, that they was around. Like, nobody could stop this team. Nobody could touch this team. But, man, there was teams that came along that pretty much dispelled that myth, or pretty much put that on the back burner and showed that these guys, if you actually go in there and you fight these guys, that you can turn these guys back, that you can actually defeat these guys. So that's what I'm going to talk about here, guys. I have 17 tag teams, and, I did some shorts. So if you are on YouTube, or if you on Twitter or whatever, you can go to my Twitter account, Harry Bernard Taylor, and you can check that out. You can go over to our Straight Up Wrestling page on YouTube, and you will see I have shorts. And even here on YouTube, I have shorts of the Road Warriors and teams that I'm going to talk about. And it's 17 teams, guys, that I'm going to talk about. I did ask AI, so I'm going to go ahead and read off what AI says about this, guys. This is the AI version, and I'm going to go ahead and, I may chime in a little bit, but I'll come back and I will dispute that, and I'll talk about that, what I think about it. But this is what AI thinks about what I was saying. What's going on, Melanie McKeith? Melanie is in the house. Melanie say, wrestling den mother, headed to Harris Teeter for great hot bar and salad bar. Augusta Street is buzzing today. Stay cool. Love to you and Chris. PN News, a.k.a. Paul says hello from Germany. Okay, wow. So PN News is in Germany? Okay, cool. That's great to hear. Love PN News. Glad that he's still up and running, still doing his thing. All right. So, wow. Everybody, as you come in, go ahead and hit that like, share, join button if you over on Facebook. If you here on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, ding, 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 so you know we're on like times like these. You do the same thing that you do over here on YouTube if you're over on Twitch. And anytime you see us on X, guys, formerly known as Twitter, hit that like, share, tweet, and retweet, and follow us over there on X, guys. But yeah, let me go ahead and get into this, man. Let me go ahead and get into these 17 tag teams that I pretty much put out here and want to talk about tag teams that I've seen in the past who I think could have hung with the Road Warriors or even beat the Road Warriors. And I'm talking about in a feud. If you put these guys in a feud, a 4 out of 7, 4 wins out of 7, who will actually win this feud? And when it boils down to it, I'm going to go ahead and be straight up with you. I think a lot of these teams will have a chance to actually beat the Road Warriors, not just hang with the Road Warriors in a feud. I know a lot of people out here. There's a lot of people out here in the wrestling verse, or a lot of people out here in the general population, the general public, who remember the Road Warriors. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people, there's millions of people that's not watching wrestling anymore at all, but they remember the Road Warriors because the Road Warriors just was phenomenal. They was a household name. These guys was something special. And then, like I said, later on, they went and became the Legion of Doom. But as the Legion of Doom over in the World Wrestling Federation, they was nothing like they were as the Road Warriors in the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, Georgia Championship Wrestling. The Road Warriors at that time was phenomenal, guys. They was at the peak of their condition. Those guys was on the top of the food chain. They was in great shape, and they decimated their opponents. So let's go ahead and talk about that, and let's go ahead and talk about what AI is saying here. Lucas, you're going to give me a few minutes here on that. Lucas, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing out about the Road Warriors. Let's go ahead and see what AI says about the teams that I put out here and how they rank them and what they think about it. All right, this is what AI said. Okay, I said chances of tag teams beating the Road Warriors LOD in a feud. Okay, it says to assess the chances of various tag teams defeating the Road Warriors, also known as the Legion of Doom or LOD, in a feud, we need to consider several factors, including each team's historical performance, wrestling style, character dynamics, and overall popularity during their respective eras. The Road Warriors was known for their powerful, aggressive style and had a significant impact on tag team wrestling in the 1980s and 1990s. Now, guys, this is what AI is doing. They talking about, as I put these teams down, like the Mongols, I put down Chief Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones. What they're doing, what AI is doing, they are going to the time that these guys wrestled, and they are measuring it from the time that these guys was wrestling. But what I'm measuring it from is the peak of each and every one of these teams when they was at their peak performance. And I'm talking about when they was at what is the word that you say, when they was in their prime, guys, when they was in their prime, and when LOD was in their prime. So that is what I'm basing this on. So there's no advantages for any team, but basically this is what AI is saying. Okay, first I had Gene and Ole Anderson, and in my opinion, Gene and Ole Anderson is the greatest tag team that ever did it, guys. Gene and Ole Anderson, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. I'm not talking about Ole and Arn Anderson. I'm talking about Gene and Ole Anderson, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. They are the greatest tag team, the best tag team that I ever saw, guys. And they ran in the 60s and the 70s, early 80s, guys. These guys was devastating. These guys were, oh my gosh, man. Ole and Gene Anderson was something special. So this is what AI is saying about it. It says AI says the Andersons was known for their technical prowess and psychological tactics. However, they often relied on underhanded tactics or underhanded methods rather than sheer power against the brute strength of the Road Warriors. They will likely struggle unless they could exploit weaknesses through strategy. Well, that is one thing that they was good at, and that's one thing that with Ole, he teamed up. He was older. Ole Anderson was older, and he teamed up with his cousin Arn. Or was it nephew? I can't remember exactly how they had it, but he teamed up with Arn, and Ole was an older wrestler, but he got with Arn, and they used those tactics, which Tully and Arn used a little bit later on. Hey, working on one body part, a certain body part, and they went at their opponents. That's what Ole and Gene would do. They would go at the big guys, man. I believe they would go at the Road Warriors, and they would try to wear them down by taking out their legs or taking out their arm, especially their arm. That was Gene and Ole's. That was their forte. That's what they did. They took out opponents' arms, and if you can take out the arms of those strong guys, the Road Warriors, they definitely could have defeated them. I do not think the Road Warriors would have ran through Ole and Gene Anderson, but AI has the chances of Gene and Ole Anderson surviving in a feud with the Road Warriors low. I think Gene and Ole Anderson would have beat the Road Warriors in a feud. That's just me, guys. But hey, early on in the feud, I'm sure the Road Warriors would have overwhelmed them over early in the feud. But as the feud went on, I'm pretty sure Ole and Gene Anderson, everything that they did and how they strategized, they would have taken out the Road Warriors straight up. One thing I will say about the Road Warriors, guys, when they got popped in the mouth, those guys had a hard time coming back, guys. For some reason, one thing about the Road Warriors, love those guys. Like I say, love them 100%. My favorite tag team ever to watch. But one thing about the Road Warriors is they had a hard time coming back. And I'm not talking about in one match. I'm talking about over a long period of time in feuds. Those guys had a hard time coming back or establishing themselves as the dominant force in that feud. All right, Black Ray 7920. What's up, Harry? Man, for some reason I had Road Warrior material come to my feed yesterday. I watched the channel that had an hour video package on them feuding with Sting when they turned on him and Dusty. Okay, cool. Black Rain 7920. Yeah, I remember that. That was just flat out crazy, man, when they turned on Sting. But yeah, all right. So AI says the chances are low of Gene and Ole Anderson taking out the Road Warriors, but I dispute that. I say that they had a great chance of beating the Road Warriors in a long feud. They will beat them. All right, next, man, we have Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. Great tag team. If you never saw Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, look these guys up here on YouTube. Go on the WWE Network or whatever. Look these guys up. Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. You talking about a great tag team. This was an outstanding tag team. And I have to put them as the number 2 tag team that I ever seen in my life. These guys were incredible to watch. And what AI says about them, AI says this team was characterized by high-flying moves and technical skill. While they had great chemistry and could match speed with LOD, their lack of size compared to the Road Warriors will be a disadvantage in a prolonged feud. I don't think so, because if you go back to that time, Ricky Steamboat was a powerhouse. He was a bodybuilder, and he had a body not as big as the Road Warriors, of course, but he's very strong. And Jay Youngblood was very strong. And one thing about speed, now they was a little bit faster. They was faster than the Road Warriors, and they will hit you from all sides. Those two guys, and with their martial arts skills that they displayed in the ring, will come into play against the Road Warriors. Those guys will hit the Road Warriors. They will hit them with shots that the Road Warriors are not seeing coming. So I think that would have gave them an advantage over the Road Warriors, to tell you the truth. But that would have been a hard feud to really predict. But I tell you what, when it boils down to it, I think it would have came down to the 7th match. The Road Warriors may have squeaked it out, but my money would have been on Steamboat and Youngblood to take that feud straight up. Ray Sean Williams says, "What's good? Steiner Brothers was my favorite as a kid." I hear you. I see Glenn T. White is on here too. But yeah, Steiner Brothers was great, and they are coming up, man. They definitely are coming up. All right, and this feud, Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, this feud right here. They give that a moderate. So they giving it a moderate chance for Steamboat and Youngblood to defeat the Road Warriors in that feud. So they giving it a moderate. They're thinking about it. So they like, they could. Because like I say, Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood was incredible. They just had it all, guys. They knew what they was doing in the ring. You talking about some ring generalship. They was just great at it. They was great at it. That's all you can really say. All right, next on the list, my number 3 tag team, that I said had a chance to hang with the Road Warriors, definitely beat the Road Warriors. And this is the team you're talking about: Rayshawn Williams, Rick and Scott Steiner, guys. Rick and Scott Steiner. And AI says the Steiner brothers combined power with technical ability and agility. Their dynamic style could pose a significant challenge to LOD, making them one of the more formidable opponents on this list. And they list chances high. I agree with them. Chances are high. If they was in a feud with the Road Warriors, a 4 out of 7, I give the Steiner brothers a chance to finish that thing off in six matches, guys. I figure the Steiners will beat them 4-2. I do. I believe the Steiners would have beat the Road Warriors in a feud. That's just the way I feel about it. That's, if you go back and you think about it, and you think about the Steiners in their prime, and you think about the Road Warriors in their prime. I mean, the Road Warriors would have came out at them hard, but the Steiner brothers, could basically match them strength-wise, and the Steiners had a lot of moves that the Road Warriors wasn't prepared for, man. They could have took out the big man straight up. Not saying the Road Warriors wouldn't win a couple, because they would. They would win the first two probably. But the Steiner brothers, man, they will overcome. I think they are better at dealing with adversity than Hawk and Animal. So I got to give it to my boys, the Steiner brothers. All right. The fourth team, man, the Midnight Express. All right, the Midnight Express in a feud with the Road Warriors, and we know that the Midnight Express tangled plenty of times with Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, and scaffold matches and everything like that. And the Midnight Express, they was fairly, when it boils down to it, they was fairly successful against the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors, it was almost 50-50. I think the Road Warriors beat them probably 10 or 15% more times than the Midnight Express beat them, but they was fairly successful against the Road Warriors. So the Midnight Express, okay, this is what AI says about it. The AI says the Midnight Express, known for their cunning tactics and teamwork, the Midnight Express could potentially outsmart LOD in certain scenarios. However, their smaller size might hinder them against LOD's physicality. And you know what? That used to happen. They did outsmart LOD a lot, and a lot of times they had to fight. And you always had the possibility of Jim Cornette interfering in that match, man. Jim Cornette or whoever he had as a bodyguard, Big Bubba Rogers or whatever, they will interfere in the match. It cost LOD, cost the Road Warriors the match. But a lot of times Midnight Express won. But in a feud with the Road Warriors, they give it a moderate chance. I say the Road Warriors are going to win 4 out of 7. The Road Warriors got them beat, man. The Road Warriors are going to beat them 4 out of 7. They probably going to go 5 out of the first 6. Now I'm going to go ahead and go 4-2. The Road Warriors will win 4 out of the first 6. All right, my man Glenn T. White says, I got Steiner brothers, Doom, the Powers of Pain, and the Ming and Barbarian. Sting and Luger can hang with the Road Warriors. No doubt about that. No doubt, Glenn T. White. All right, 20 of good, Master CSX 2025. Are you sending a link? No, not right now. Not right now, Lucas. I'm not doing it, man. Not doing it. Not right now. I got to get through this. Got a lot of teams go through. All right, man. We are at the number 5 team, guys. Sergeant Slaughter and Don Kernodle. So Sergeant Slaughter and Private Don Kernodle. I don't know how many of you done seen this team, but this was a great tag team, outstanding tag team. Now, Don Kernodle was one of these guys who he was a hit and miss, pretty much in the mid card. Okay, Lucas says, no, oh man, oh, I know. Okay, Lucas, but yeah, Sergeant Slaughter and Don Kernodle was a great tag team. And this is what AI says about this. AI says this team had experience and toughness, but lacked the explosive style that defines successful feuds against LOD. They might hold their own, but would likely fall short in terms of overall effectiveness. And the chances are low. So AI gives Sergeant Slaughter and Don Kernodle, says their chances are low against LOD. I say it is too, because it took a while before these two can really get their offense going. Now, Don Kernodle and Sergeant Slaughter gave Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, they gave them hell, man. They gave them a hard feud, a lot of hard feuds. They fought a lot of great tag teams, Sergeant Slaughter and Don Kernodle. I think they will give them a good run, but Sergeant Slaughter and Don Kernodle probably only win 1 out of 7. I'm going to say 4-1. I'm going to go ahead and give that one to the Road Warriors, even though I think Sergeant Slaughter and Don Pernolo will give them a hard time. All right, man, my man. These right here, the Briscoe brothers, guys. And I'm not talking about Mark and Jay, guys. I'm talking about Jack and Jerry Briscoe, guys. Number 6. The number 6 team that I have is Jack and Jerry Briscoe. And AI is talking about that. But Jack and Jerry Briscoe was just a beautiful team to watch. Great technical wrestlers and could flat out fight, man, when it boiled down to it. Jack Briscoe, of course, one of the greatest world champions, NWA world champions I ever seen. He was world champion from 1975 to 1977. Could have did it longer, but he didn't want to have the title, but because he didn't like to travel. But he was a traveling world champion, and his brother Jerry was just as good, man. But wasn't as great as Jack. But nobody could mess with Jack, man. Nobody in the dressing room will mess with Jack. That's a known fact. But Jack and Jerry Briscoe, this is what AI says about him. AI says, as technically skilled wrestlers with a strong legacy, they could potentially outmaneuver LOD if given enough time to strategize. However, their age during peak LOD years may have limited their effectiveness. And that's the whole thing about it. They talk about their age. He's talking about basically Jack and Jerry Briscoe as they got older during LOD's prime. I'm going back to Jack and Jerry Briscoe from the 70s, guys. Jack and Jerry Briscoe from the 70s, early 80s against the Legion of Doom. I'm talking prime for prime. Jack and Jerry Briscoe. AI gave Jack and Jerry Briscoe a moderate chance. I say Jack and Jerry Briscoe in a feud would have won that feud. Out of 6 matches, I give it to Jack and Jerry Briscoe 4-2, guys. Jack and Jerry Briscoe was just too strong of a team, and they would have confused the Road Warriors. They would have frustrated the Road Warriors. They would have took them out. So I give it to Jack and Jerry Briscoe, guys. So the Briscoe brothers I have over the Road Warriors, even though AI says moderate, guys. They say moderate. Okay. The number 7 tag team, guys, that I put out here. The number 7 tag team that I have, I feel have a chance to hang with the Road Warriors or defeat the Road Warriors. It's Ray Stevens and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Now, Greg the Hammer Valentine is on this list twice. But yeah, this team right here, Ray Stevens and Greg the Hammer Valentine were NWA World Tag Team Champions in the early 70s. And these guys were incredible to watch, man. Greg Valentine, man, was just a tough, no-nonsense wrestler that didn't take no crap over anybody. So I don't think the Road Warriors would run over him. He's going to slow you down with those elbow shots. And like I say, he had a lot of other different things that he could do to slow down the Road Warriors. Ray the Crippler Stevens was just smart, and he could do so many different things to your body, man, to pretty much put you in uncompromising positions. This guy was just, man, oh my gosh, man. Ray the Crippler Stevens was just one of these guys that, hey, just like his name says, he will cripple you. He will stop you. He will slow you down. One thing I used to love about this team, I used to love how Greg Valentine was the roughhouse guy, and he would just, and when he basically roughed you up real good, he got Ray Stevens in there. Ray Stevens just would clean it up. But, that was a great tag team. But, it was a tag team that Ray Stevens was in when he was older competitor, but he still could go. And I mean, he could go. It says AI says both were tough competitors with extensive experience. However, they might not match up physically against the powerhouse nature of LOD. Of course not. Of course not. They would have had a hard time doing that. But like I said, they would have, would have been strategic in their approach against LOD. And guys, wow, it will be hard. It's hard for me to say LOD will win this feud, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it to LOD. 4 out of 7. I'm gonna go ahead and give that one to LOD, guys. All right. Charity says, okay, I am waiting. Okay, Charity. All right, next, guys, I have the Rock and Roll Express, guys. I have the Rock and Roll Express versus the Road Warriors. Okay, Rock and Roll Express versus the Road Warriors. Rock and Roll Express dominated in the 80s, guys. I have to say they had the best 80s run out here. They had the best 80s run in wrestling, guys. They was the best when it comes to 1980s wrestling. I mean, straight up. Who else can I compare to them? I would say the Midnight Express, number 2. As far as the run in the 80s, I got to give it to those two, 1, 2, and then I give it to the Road Warriors 3. the Rock and Roll Express, I mean, it can't be denied. Of course, the Road Warriors from 80, 84 to 87, the Road Warriors just decimated everybody. But I'm talking about the entire decade, almost the entire decade. The Rock and Roll Express was it. They was it. Now, of course, not the early 80s, but the mid 80s to almost the end of the 80s, the Rock and Roll Express had more success than about anybody outside of the Midnight Express. You know, that can be argued anyway. But the Rock and Roll Express, hey, great tag team. All right. The AI says, known for their speed and high-flying maneuvers, they had success against larger teams, but often struggled due to size disadvantages against teams like LOD. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But the heart of a line, man, and these guys right here, it doesn't matter the size of, you know, it doesn't matter what their size was. It's the, you know, it's the heart, you know, the heart that they had, you know, the size of the fight and the dog. And I tell you what, the Rock and Roll Express had that all the way. The Rock and Roll Express will battle LOD, but I do think LOD will get them 4 out of 2 times straight up. It'd be hard for LOD to do it. Now, AI says the Rock and Roll Express has a moderate chance of beating LOD in a feud, guys. All right, let's get to Harlem Heat, guys. And I know I'm talking fast and everything, but I have a lot of tag teams to go through, so I'm going to get to Harlem Heat. Okay, Harlem Heat. Wow, man, Harlem Heat. Big tag team, rugged tag team, guys from the street. And, man, look, I never really thought much of Harlem Heat. I really didn't, and I think they had an easier time than a lot of these other teams that I talked about. They fought tougher competition than Harlem Heat, but when it boils down to it, it's really not Harlem Heat's fault. But Harlem Heat, guys, let's talk about Harlem Heat. All right, AI says with strong athleticism and charisma, Harlem Heat could provide a competitive edge against LOD due to their combination of power and agility. They give Harlem Heat's chances high against LOD. I say LOD would have beat them 4 out of 2 in a 6. Maybe 6 chances, maybe 5 out of 6. I don't know, but I'm gonna go 4 out of 2. LOD would have beat Harlem Heat, even though Harlem Heat, like I say, matches up as far as size. Harlem Heat is actually a bigger team, I think, than the Road Warriors. If you look at the Road Warriors when they got out of shape. Now, when Road Warriors in their peak condition, they pretty much matched up, but Harlem Heat is a big team. Those guys, man, Booker T and his brother Stevie Ray, just big guys, man, straight up. And we have AI giving the chances of Harlem Heat taking out the Road Warriors. They give the chances high. All right, guys, let's go ahead and roll over to the next tag team, guys. Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka. And I know a lot of you guys probably don't know them. These two guys in 1979 was the NWA World Heavyweight Champions. I was in the 5th grade, or maybe it was 6th grade. I can't remember. I think I was in 5th grade or 6th grade when they had the titles. And Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka, they was a joy to watch. Jimmy Snuka was a bodybuilder. Jimmy Snuka was a very powerful wrestler. At this time, Paul Orndorff was bodybuilding too. Wasn't as built as Jimmy Snuka, but was just a strong, very good tag team. Paul Orndorff wasn't as good as he was later on down the road as Mr. Wonderful in WWE, but he still was very formidable at this time when him and Jimmy Snuka teamed up, and they was an incredible team to watch. Jimmy Snuka and Paul Orndorff, in my opinion, would have had a great chance to beat LOD, but I don't think they would have beat them. I think LOD probably could have beat them 4-2 in a series of 7. A few let's see, Hawk and Animal definitely would have had the advantage. They would have took out Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka, and AI is saying that Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka had a low to moderate chance to beat LOD. All right, man. My number 11th tag team, guys, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, or whoever coming in. And if you coming in, you checking us out, checking me out on the stream, guys, go ahead and hit that like, share, join, so people will know that Straight Up Wrestling Show is live and in effect. If you are on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. If you over here on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, ding, 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 so you know we're on like times like these, guys. And do the same thing if you're over on Twitch. And when you see us over on X, guys, hit that like, share, tweet, and retweet. Straight up, guys. All right. Glenn T. White said Hogan and Warrior versus Road Warriors. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. They matched up size-wise and everything like that, but I have to roll with the Road Warriors on that. Glenn T. White, Hogan, and Warrior, because one thing about them, I don't think they cohesive enough as far as a combination. But I do see them working together, and they will be a hard team to beat. But I still give the Road Warriors. I give the Road Warriors 4 out of 7 against Hogan and Warrior, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, straight up. All right, man. Next, we had Chief, Wahoo McDaniel, and Paul Jones. Obviously, AI thinks Paul Jones was just a. They think Paul Jones was just a manager. They are not bringing in to account that Paul Jones was a wrestler, and he was a great wrestler. He was fantastic. This is one of the best tag teams that I ever seen. Chief Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones. This is what AI is saying about the matchup. They said Wahoo was known for his toughness. However, Jones' role was as more of a manager strategist may not translate well into direct competition against such an imposing team like LOD. And they gave the chances low. I think the chances are very high that they would have won because the heart of these two was just incredible. When it boils down to it, man, wow. It's hard for me to say the Road Warriors would have took out Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones. I almost have this thing at 100% even, guys, a 50-50. But I'm going to go ahead and give the Road Warriors I'm going to give them a slight percentage. I'm going to give them 51 over 49 against Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones. So I say they will beat Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones 4-3. It will come down to the final matchup between those two teams. But Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones was just incredible and could take a lot of punishment. Those guys, they were sticking there with LOD. All right, next, guys, next we have Ric Flair and Greg Valentine. This is number 12. This is the number 12 tag team that's on my list. Ric Flair and Greg Valentine should have been number 1. And this is what AI is saying about it. AI says Flair's strategic mind combined with Valentine's toughness makes this duo quite formidable. However, it remains uncertain if they can consistently defeat such powerful opponents as LOD without outside interference. That's one thing that Ric Flair and Greg Valentine never did use. They never used outside interference. These guys was tough as they come, was the best tag team that I ever seen. Only teamed together for a short time. 2 times they teamed together for a short time because they were such great singles competitors. They wanted to be singles competitors. But Ric Flair and Greg Valentine, outside of the Anderson brothers, they was even better than the Anderson brothers. Put it that way. This could have been the greatest tag team ever if these guys decided to stay together. Straight up, I got to give it to Ric Flair and Greg Valentine. I think they would have beat LOD at least. They probably would have went 4-1. I say LOD probably would have won 1 out of 5 matches against Ric Flair and Greg Valentine. I give it to Flair and Valentine straight up in this matchup. No ends, ands, or buts about it. And AI saying the chances of Ric Flair and Greg Valentine winning that feud is high. And I agree with them 100%. It is high. And once again, guys, everybody that's listening to this, all right, Glenn T. White says Ric Flair would cheat, laugh out loud. Back then, of course, yeah, he would have cheated, but I know they wouldn't have used any outside interference. Back then, when Greg Valentine and Ric Flair was tag team partners back in the 77, 78, when they was teaming up with each other, these guys, yeah, they would use cheating tactics, but they did not, as a tag team, use any outside interference or anything like that. They were incredible, man. They, as a tag team, those two, wow, man. Oh gosh, I just love watching Ric Flair and Greg the Hammer Valentine. And to tell you the truth, I really didn't like them teaming up with each other. They was just that devastating that I don't see anybody stopping them, and they would just beat up on the Anderson brothers. They would beat up on Gene and Ole, and I didn't think anybody could do that. But they would beat up on them. Those two, wow, man. They was something special to watch. They really was. It was kind of like watching Ric Flair in his peak days as world heavyweight champion. And probably better than that when it boiled down to it. The times that they teamed up, they were just smooth with it, man. They really was. And Ric Flair did used to team up with Johnny Valentine, his dad, Greg the Hammer Valentine's dad. And it's like Greg was watching that and really owning his skills and getting ready to team up with Ric Flair. It's like they, because Ric Flair and Greg Valentine basically the same age. It's like they was pretty much teaming up with each other and rehearsing everything that they was going to do when they finally got their chance to team up with each other. But they was something special to watch, man. They really was. But yeah, so in that matchup, they did give it a high chance that Ric Flair and Greg Valentine will be able to defeat the Road Warriors. All right, the next matchup, man, number 13th matchup, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. Doom, guys. Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, I had them as my number 13 tag team that could defeat the Road Warriors or hang with the Road Warriors, guys. And AI says Doom was built on power and aggression, which aligns closely with what made the Road Warriors successful. Thus, this matchup will be very competitive. Yes, it would. And Doom did end up running the Road Warriors out of there, but that's when the Road Warriors was out of there. Peak condition, Road Warriors was past their prime, and Doom pretty much ran them out of WCW. That was their last little feud that they had before they ran back up to the WWF. But Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, that was their that's what pretty much elevated them. I forgot which pay-per-view it was, but Doom and Ron Simmons came out there, and I mean Ron Simmons and Butch Reed came out, and they had a little fight outside the ring against LOD, and man, it elevated them from then on out, and they came out with Teddy Long, because remember, Woman was their manager for a while there, and Doom used to wear the mask, but they took off those masks, and Teddy Long led those guys. Man, they was something special to watch. Now I'm going back to the prime. Now I'm going because LOD was out of their prime. The Road Warriors was out of their prime when they was going up against Doom. Let's go back to the Road Warriors in their prime and put them against Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. That would have been a fight, guys. That would have been a fight. Now, who had the most heart? Who could have prevailed in the end? Who was smarter when it boiled down to it? I think it would have came up to the final matchup between Doom and Ron Simmons. I'm going to go ahead and put that even, guys. I'm going to go ahead and put that 50-50. I'm not going to say the Road Warriors would have beat them. I'm not going to say Doom would have beat him. I'm going to go ahead and put that matchup 50-50. And AI said the chances of Butch Reed and Ron Simmons succeeding against the Road Warriors would have been high. I think it would have been very high. Either way it go, I think it would have been high for the Road Warriors to beat them, and I think it would have been high for them to beat the Road Warriors. But I know one thing: Butch Reed and Ron Simmons will pop you in the mouth until you gave up, guys. That's the way they played it. Those guys were rough, rugged. The Road Warriors just overwhelmed you with power. They couldn't have did that against Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. They definitely couldn't have did that. Butch Reed and Ron Simmons had a great feud with the Steiner brothers, one of the best that I ever seen, straight up, and one of the hardest hitting that I ever seen. So Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, I'm going to go ahead and get that 50-50. All right, man. Next, we have number 14 tag team that I had. I had Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Arn Anderson. Okay, so Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard against the Four Horsemen. I almost said Arn was on here 2 times, but it wasn't. It was his cousin or his uncle, Ole. Okay, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. It says, AI says, as part of the Four Horsemen, this duo is highly skilled in psychological warfare and says as part of the Four Horsemen, this duo is highly skilled at psychological warfare and teamwork, which could give them an edge over LOD despite being outmatched physically at times. And AI gives the chances of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard chances high. I agree with that 100%. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, when it boiled down to it, I think they will beat LOD 4 out of 7 times. It come down to the final one. I want to say the Road Warriors will win, but I think Arn and Tully, being strategic and how smart they are, I think they would take out the Road Warriors. I really do. In a series, and they have done it before, so no reason for me to say they wouldn't do it now. All right, guys. So they gave the chances high. All right, number 15 tag team that I had against the Road Warriors to take out the Road Warriors or hang with the Road Warriors was the Nasty Boys, guys. And it says known for their brawling style, which matched well against larger opponents. However, consistency in winning matches against such established teams like LOD may be questionable. Yeah, the Nasty Boys, look, I wasn't a fan of the Nasty Boys, but I know these guys are tough, knobs and sags, and they knew how to win. So I definitely think those guys could come out and beat the Road Warriors on a couple of occasions out of 7 matches, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Road Warriors 4-1. And AI gave the Nasty Boys chances as moderate. All right, guys. The number 16 tag team that I had against the Road Warriors is the Mongols, guys. The Mongols. Guido and Bolo Mongol. A lot of you guys, a lot of you out here that's listening to my voice may never heard of the Mongols or don't know about the Mongols. Or, hey, if you don't, go ahead and look them up, check them out. The Mongols was something. They was something, guys. They was brutal. They knew how to get it done. They were very smart in the ring. They controlled the ring. Great ring generalship, great ring management. They were an incredible tag team, and they would devastate their opponents quite like the Road Warriors, but they wasn't as fast as the Road Warriors and didn't have the power that the Road Warriors had. Now, AI says while tough opponents, while tough competitors from earlier eras, let me go ahead and read that again. While tough competitors from earlier eras who rely heavily on brute strength, similar to that of the Road Warriors themselves, they may lack modern wrestling strategies that would be necessary for success today. And that's not what I'm basing it on. I'm basing it on saying if the Mongols wrestled at the same time the Road Warriors did, and I'm sure the Mongols would have had a different strategy. They would have been wrestling a little different. The Mongols remind me of a stronger bushwhackers. Which I call the sheep herders. Bushwhackers, sheep herders. They was kind of like the bushwhackers, sheep herders, but better. They was better at it, and they were smarter. The Mongols would have gave the Road Warriors a great matchup, but I think the Road Warriors would have got them 4 out of 6 times. So I say 4-2, and AI give the chances low to moderate for the Mongols. Next, man, we had Johnny and Jerry Valiant, the Valiant brothers, which was a great tag team, especially up in the WWF. WWE, which we call it today, the Johnny and Jerry Valiant against the Road Warriors. AI says their flamboyant style might entertain audience, but lacks the cohesive strategy needed to take down a powerhouse team like LOD effectively. Now, Johnny and Jerry Valiant was managed by the great Lou Albano, and then he was managed by the great Bobby Heenan. Now, Johnny and Jerry Valiant would have pretty much had to use their smarts against the Road Warriors, and I do think that Johnny and Jerry may have won 2 matches and may have squeaked out a third and took it to 7 matches, but AI did say their chances are low. I think Johnny and Jerry would have stretched that thing out to 7 matches, but they would have lost 4-3 to the Road Warriors, guys. And that's pretty much basically it, guys. But hey, I'm going to go ahead and give the summary. In summary, what AI have given me in summary, AI says in summary, teams with higher chances include Rick and Scott Steiner, high. Harlem Heat, high. They have Ric Flair and Greg Valentine. They have a high chance of them beating them. Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, Doom, high. They have Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, high. They said teams with moderate chances include Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, and the Nasty Boys. They consider all those teams with a moderate chance of defeating the Road Warriors. They said teams with low chances include Gene and Ole Anderson, low. Wahomie Daniel and Paul Jones, low. They said Ray Stevens and Greg Valentine, low to moderate. They said Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka, low to moderate. They said the Mongols, low to moderate. Johnny and Jerry Valiant, they put low. So that's the overall assessment, guys. Indicates that while some teams possess attributes that could lead towards victory over the Road Warriors in specific scenarios or matches, most notably those who combine strength with strategy, the overwhelming physical presence of the Road Warriors make them one of the most dominant tag teams historically. Says probability that this answer is correct is 90%. So they are saying that they are 90%. They think 90% of all the things that they believe in, AI is that the Road Warriors will be 90% that they are effective in everything that they're talking about. Skyscrapers, Glenn T. White, the team of, if you want to look at the Skyscrapers against the Road Warriors, the team of Mean Mark Callis, and which was the first one, Mean Mark Callis, and what's the other guy? Mean Mark Callis and Sid Vicious. That team, Mean Mark Callis and Sid Vicious, will have a great chance, but they never really had the experience, I don't think, to really hang in there with a feud. They may have squeaked out 1 or 2, but they would have lost in a feud with the Road Warriors. Now the team of Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious, no, they wouldn't have beat the Road Warriors in a feud, but they definitely would have gave them a battle, but they wouldn't have beat the Road Warriors. But Skyscrapers would have had a chance. But guys, I have some other tag teams that I could throw out there that I will be putting in there a little bit later, and that is the Blackjacks. I'm talking about Blackjack Mulligan, Blackjack Lanza. I'm talking about Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Gordy. Very tough tag team. Very, very tough tag team. Those guys may have beat the Road Warriors. Stan Hansen and Ole Anderson, that was a great rugged tag team that probably could have beat them. A lot of tag teams, other tag teams that should be considered. The Mass Superstar 1 and 2. Or you can say Mass Superstar and the Super Destroyer. Another great tag team. But there's other great tag teams that was out here on the wrestling scene that probably could have compared up with the Road Warriors and beat them. But guys, hey, pretty much that's it, man. That's it what I have on this. And I went down 17 tag teams that could beat the Road Warriors, and I went ahead and went with the AI model because I wanted everybody to see what AI said about it, not just what I think about it. I went ahead and went with what AI said about it, and I'm gonna go ahead and go over these teams again real quick, and I ranked them 1 through 17. This is not actually the ranking; it's just 17 teams I came up with. I did some shorts on this, guys, and these are 17 teams that I think will hang with the Road Warriors or maybe best them in a feud, guys. And I'm talking about 4 out of 7. Gene and Ole Anderson, number 1, I had them at number 1. Number 2, I had Ricky Steamboat and Jane Youngblood. Number 3, I had Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner. All right, number 4, I had the Midnight Express. Number 5, I had Sergeant Slaughter and Don Cornado. Number 6, I had Jack and Jerry Briscoe. Number 7, I had Ray Stevens and Greg Valentine. Number 8, I had the Rock and Roll Express. Number 9, I had Harlem Heat. Number 10, I had Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka. Number 11, I had Wahoo McDaniel and Paul Jones. Number 12, I had Ric Flair and Greg Valentine. Number 13, I had Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. Number 14, I had Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Number 15, I had the Nasty Boys. And number 16, I had the Mongols. Number 17, I had Johnny and Jerry Valiant, guys. And so 17 tag teams that I think could have beat the Road Warriors, basically hang with the Road Warriors. But, some of those teams I definitely think could have beat them. Rayshawn Williams, no love for the Mega Powers. I do have them. I did put them down. I just haven't had a chance to really put them as far as in my shorts. You talking about the Mega Powers. You talking about Warlord and Barbarian. Straight up, Warlord and Barbarian, they had a feud with him. I remember the first feud they had with him in Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA. And it was pretty good, but the Road Warriors had the more experience. The Road Warriors definitely beat them in that feud. All right, Rayshawn is cracking up. But yeah, the Mega Powers, Warlord and Barbarian, probably as they went over to the WWE and they was together a lot longer, they would have had even more of a chance. But Warlord and Barbarian, it don't matter what time of the year or how many years they've been together, I don't think they could have beat the Road Warriors. I'm always going to give the Road Warriors 4, and I'm going to give Barbarian and Warlord 3. Okay, even if you put Ming and Barbarian together, they wasn't enough for the Road Warriors, in my opinion. So I got to give it to the Road Warriors. There's something about Barbarian, man. It was just something about him and Warlord. Barbarian knows how to lose. That's all it is to it. Love Barbarian. Me and Chris, we met him last year at a wrestling show. And man, he's a great guy. Love talking with him. A great guy and everything like that. But he knew how to lose, guys. That's all I have to say about that. But I do remember when he first came into the business, came to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and he said he was chasing 2 guys that was in his biker gang. He was dressed like the Road Warriors, had the same, had that same war paint that the Road Warriors have on and everything. Came in dressed like a biker, just like the Road Warriors. Very scary dude and bigger than the Road Warriors. Love the Barbarian, guys, but it was just something about him, man. It really was, the way he moped around the ring and everything. Very powerful, great guy to watch and everything like that. But he was no matchup for Hawk and Animal when it boiled down to it. Those guys will overwhelm you, and you had to beat those guys with strategy and smarts, guys. If you could, even if you matched up with them with power, those two, the Road Warriors wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but hey, they definitely were smart enough when it boiled down to it, and they had Paul Ellering outside the ring, so that added to what they had. All right, guys, appreciate everybody coming in. Glenn White says, Barbarian, no! LOL, laugh out loud. Yeah, Barbarian, man. He was great though. Barbarian is a great guy. But yeah, he just Barbarian that's one thing I will say about Barbarian. Barbarian always found a way to lose, man. He really did. But guys, I appreciate everybody checking us out in whatever platform you're on. Make sure you hit that like button, guys. Light it up. Hit that like button, guys, so people will know about this podcast and then go out to everybody, man. And like I said, hey, I'm gonna do a lot more things like this, but I appreciate everybody coming in and checking me out. And hey, look out for me a little bit later on. I do not think I'll be doing SmackDown tonight. I have some things to do, so I'll be coming back about around 8 o'clock. So I may watch SmackDown tonight, and around 11 o'clock I may come on and do a review or something like that. Christopher Burton is down with a stomach virus, so he definitely won't be on. He didn't even go to work today. He had to call out of work, so he's definitely down. So pray for my boy, Christopher Burton. But I hope everybody had a great Christmas, guys, and I hope everybody is looking forward to this new year. And hopefully, like I say, everybody will wake up for the new year, guys, and be in the new year. And I wish each and every one of you a prosperous new year, guys, and a whole prosperous 2025 coming up, guys. And I, pray for every single one of you listening to my voice right now to be to have a great, healthy new year, and for all your families to have a great new year, great, healthy 2025. And hey, that's if you go through that healthy, guys, that right there, that's all you really need, straight up. If you go through the whole year healthy and and loving each other and making great decisions, and you're gonna be all right. No ends, ands, buts about it. Thank you, Glenn, to your wife, for putting up those prayer hands, my brother. But I'll talk to each and every one of you guys a little bit later. Stay straight up. Peace.